Hello everyone, Sarah from Abundantly Minimal here, and I wanted to give a channel update about some things that are coming up, some things that are changing. I actually have 6 updates to share in this video, as well as I'll talk just in general about the past year, since it's the 1-year mark when I kind of went full-time with my businesses and left the classroom. So I'll give you an update about that, as well as what the future plans are for Abundantly Minimal. But in general, this is a very chill video, no makeup, just hanging out here. So feel free to get yourself a beverage or something refreshing. Today we have a Rooibos iced latte thing. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I thought I would go through the updates first. I'll try to go through them fairly quickly. And then towards the second half of the video is where I'll discuss some of the highs from the past year, some of the lows, as well as some of the lessons learned and what's coming next. So let's get started. I do have a few little post-it notes here just because I wanted to make sure I don't forget to say anything. The first update is that I will be taking a month off from YouTube, and that will be during the month of June. So after this video, through the end of the month of June, you will not see my face on camera or any normal videos from me. And this is just a chance for me to kind of reset a little bit, as well as take some time away. In the past, I've gone through phases where I haven't done a good job of taking breaks. And I think sometimes it's very easy to get in your head about, well, if I don't post, what might happen? But I have moved on from that headspace and know that it would be really good for the channel. And there's a couple other reasons I'm choosing now that I'll get into later in the video. But I just want you to know that you're not going to be seeing normal videos from me during the next month. Moving on to the second update, I technically will be posting a few things to the channel. I personally am a big fan of the instrumental music mixes that are on YouTube, usually for an hour or several hours long. And I find if I need to be really focused on something, I really enjoy having those on in the background. But one thing I wanted to do was actually make my own. I figure I'm listening to all these other people's music arrangements. I love music myself. Why not put one together? But I will be uploading a few of these instrumental videos. They're going to be a lot longer than normal. You won't see or hear me at all, but it's just something that I think could be beneficial. I often hear comments from you saying that you feel calm or inspired after watching my videos. And even though I'm taking the month off, I thought I could still help deliver that with the music. And I'm not sure how many there will be. If it goes really badly and hurts the channel, then I'll probably stick to just 2. If it goes well, or at least no big difference, I might go up to 6. We'll see, but it's something that I have wanted to do just because I know those kind of music mixes work for me. We'll go back to normal content, and after this month, I don't plan on uploading any more of those, but just want to let you know you will still see a couple videos being uploaded, but it won't be normal. And I know some of you are so committed and watch all of my videos. If it's not your thing, no worries. I'll be back in July with more normal content. My third update is I want to give a formal video thank you for the channel just reaching 50,000 subscribers. This happened a week or 2 ago. I don't remember the exact date, but it is just very humbling to me. I'm so appreciative and grateful for your support over this time. 50,000 subscribers means so much to me. Even though it's not one of the official YouTube milestones, I just feel really grateful because I know that, when I started out, that was a dream, that was a hope to get to something like that. And you don't know if that's going to happen. And there's many amazing channels that don't unfortunately get to that point. So I feel so grateful, and I really appreciate all your support. I know some of you have been here, from the very beginning. Others of you maybe have just recently joined the channel, but no matter when, I am so grateful. And I hope to continue serving you and supporting you over the next, years together with Abundantly Minimal. So thank you so much. Fourth update, as a thank you for the 50,000 subscriber mark, I decided to put my ebooks as well as one of my courses, Conventional to Intentional, on sale for 20% off. You know that I normally don't do sales. I just do like an early bird special whenever I launch something, but otherwise I really don't put things on sale, and I don't really plan on changing that, to be honest. But I figured this would be a nice time to, just as a thank you for your support. Any of my ebooks, my cookbook, Declutter Day by Day, the Decluttering Planner, and Declutter Without Guilt, 20% off. I'm also putting Conventional to Intentional, which is one of my courses all about living a more intentional life. It's a 30-day course. I'm putting all these 20% off until the end of May. So you can catch this for about a week. And there are no coupon codes. I just automatically lowered the price 20% of those 4 different resources. Update number 5 is that I have decided to postpone the release of my travel ebook. I started working on it in February and was reaching out more to you all to hear what content you wanted in it in late February and early March, and was very excited about it. So far, wrote about half of it. We're about up to 50 pages, and I was having a great time with it. Obviously, then the world changed a lot, and although I know I could complete the book now and have it available, I just think that, at least at this point, it still would kind of be in bad taste, just because I think with everything going on, obviously everyone makes their own choice. I personally feel like it is irresponsible to be traveling if you don't have to be traveling, as well as I don't know what travel is necessarily going to look like as we move forward. And so I want to have more of an understanding of that, as well as, make sure there are fewer risks involved when I'm promoting that. As well as the real truth is I also have several other projects that are probably a little bit more pressing of a need that I think I can prioritize first. I might finish it up towards the end of 2020. We'll see. I just am going to continue playing that by ear just because I don't want to launch it at a time where it's insensitive and also not the right time to travel. Moving on to update number 6. I am making some big changes to my Better with Less course. Now I know that previously I talked about how the course was offered 3 times a year. However, I did decide to not do a formal launch of the course this spring because I am making a few improvements to it. I had some clarity about a few things that I wanted to restructure, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I was supporting people in the best way possible is to make every single part of it more methodical, organized, and actionable. So a few of the changes I've made, I did create the official Better with Less success path, which I will link in the description field if you want to take a look at what it entails. And I also decided to make the course self-paced. And this was a change I wanted to make because I don't want people to feel like they're falling behind, as well as I don't want people to feel like they have to wait to get to the areas of their home or their life that need the most work. So that is a change that's going to be made going forward. I also am adding 8 additional sections about topics that I had not previously addressed in the course, just to make sure it's the most comprehensive resource possible. So I'm really excited about that. Now, that being said, I am not doing a formal launch this spring, just because I'm going to push that to the fall is when I'll open this back up with everything all ready to go. But in case you are interested and wanted to sign up now, I did decide to just have a very low-key sign up now if you want kind of approach going again till the end of May if you're interested. Because I'm adding so much, if you wait until the fall to sign up, the price will be increased $50. So if it is something you're interested in, if you do sign up now, you get all of the updates as I update them this summer, as well as you can save $50. So just wanted to be transparent. And now that brings us to where we're currently at this year. About a year ago, I made a video announcing to you guys that I had decided to step away from the classroom to pursue my businesses full time. And a year went really fast, that's for sure. But I wanted to break down some specifics about what happened this year. So overall, I feel very grateful for having the chance to do this. Not even getting to how the world changed the last few months, but just being able to pursue my passions with these businesses has been such a joy overall. And although there were quite a few lows that I'll talk about very shortly, I think the lows were essential to help me become more resilient as a person and to also gain a lot of clarity about what my direction is moving forward. So first, let's get into the highs. All the good parts about this year. Number 1, I was just able to accomplish so much. I knew this year was really just about putting in the work. I was a little misguided in my video last year because I talked about how I was going to have a lot more free time, and I was going to, have nights and weekends free, and that unfortunately did not end up happening. I still worked really hard, about 70-hour weeks for the whole year, partially out of financial need, which I'll explain when we get into some of the lows, but also my husband Jake was getting his master's degree this year while also teaching. And because of that, he really didn't have free time. He'd stay at school late, come home, do some master's work, go to bed. It was a pretty, regimented schedule. And then on the weekends, he'd catch up on his master's work. So since he was working, I thought, well, I love what I'm doing. I'll keep working too. So I definitely worked really hard. Granted, I know some people might be thinking, well, that's terrible that you worked so much, but honestly, I have had such a blast. I love working, I love creating, and there are days where I just really didn't want to go to bed because I didn't want to stop. So I still did, and I still got great sleep. Overall, it's been a really special time, and going back to my whole why of doing this, my whole why of running these businesses, obviously I want to make an impact, I want to support people, but I also want to be able to be a stay-at-home mom in the future. And there's no way to do that on, just my husband's salary. With the take-home pay from my husband, especially after adding me on his insurance, it is barely enough to cover our mortgage and basic utilities and nothing else. So obviously there is a big role for me to be stepping up, and that's something I want. So because of that, I'm fine because I've got this big why that is pushing me forward every single day, and I look forward to that lifestyle. It's not something a lot of people can have, but one of the things I think about is you have to be willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do to be able to live a life that others can't really often live. So that's sort of been, my why. But I wrote down a few numbers here about breaking down what was accomplished this year. So I launched 3 new courses. One of those was Conventional to Intentional, my 30-day intentional living course. I also launched my program, Monthly Minimalist Makeover, which is so much fun. It's a monthly challenge group with minimalist challenges. Sometimes it's a decluttering challenge, sometimes it's a financial challenge, sometimes it's like a new schedule or habit challenge. So it depends, but it's been a lot of fun. And we've got some really cool people there in that program. This is not Abundantly Minimal related, but I also launched a course called YouTube Marketing 101, which is for teacherpreneurs who are selling their teaching resources and can use YouTube to help them with that. I also launched Better with Less 2 times this past year, in the fall and in the winter, so that was really exciting. I created 113 new teacher resources and lesson plans for our teacher business. So that was a big accomplishment. Prior to this year, I had 43 products in my teacher store, and that was gradual over the course of quite a few years, probably about 4 or 5 years of very gradual work. And so doing 43 in like 5 years to 113 in technically 10 months, I'm very pleased with. I do have big plans for the summer for that. I also wrote 2 ebooks, Declutter Without Guilt and Declutter Day by Day. And in a way, actually, there's all these mini ebooks that come from Monthly Minimalist Makeover. They're 15 to 20 page little ebooks based upon the challenge for the month to help support the students in there. So you could kind of add those in, but I wrote those and wrote about half of the travel book, not that it's available yet. I built 2 websites. So prior to this year, I'd had tons of website shame. I hated the old version of abundantlyminimal.com, but I had switched my website provider and am so happy with it now. I built it all myself, and using the website platform, but I love having all my course stuff on there directly. There's blog posts there, videos, and the 30-day decluttering challenge, which I know many of you have probably downloaded. So it's so much easier to use now, and I'm really excited about it. I also officially launched my teacher website, Mr. and Mrs. Socialstudies.com, which I'm also excited. I did have a website designer help me with the nuts and bolts and the aesthetics of the site, but I have since put content on there as well and have started blogging on that site as well. So I'm pretty excited to be, taking that next step with that website too, just because that one was even a worse mess than the Abundantly Minimal site was back when I bought the domain name for it back in July last year. So big improvements with that. In terms of videos, I uploaded 64 new videos to the Abundantly Minimal YouTube channel in the last year. And I also uploaded 28 videos to the Teacher YouTube channel. I tried out a vlogging channel and did not like it, so I have since shut that down. I mean, the videos are still there. I think there were eight videos or so on that channel. And between the channels, this year we had 20,000 new subscribers and 2.4 million views between the two channels. So I'm just blown away by that. I feel very lucky to be a part of that. So that's kind of this year by the numbers. So overall, I would consider it a big success in that sense, being able to just work hard. I realized I had some debts to pay essentially, not actual financial debts, but areas that I had neglected over time. Like I said, the website that are really important for businesses, but I was struggling to balance everything with teaching. So that was, I think, overall one of the best accomplishments of this year. Also, this isn't by a numbers thing, but I had a lot of fun connecting more with other YouTubers as well as other teacherpreneur people. Have had a great time talking with both Vera from Simple Happy Zen and Ashlyn from Ashlyn Eaton, their YouTube channels. I chat with each of them every month, and that's been really nice to have people to count on within the same sort of space who kind of understand the behind the scenes, and it's always really fun to bounce ideas off of them. So I've been able to help them with ideas, they've helped me with ideas, so it's definitely something that I have really enjoyed over the last year. And then I'm in a mastermind group with some other teacher authors, and that has also been really helpful and helped push me forward. Now I do want to talk about some of the struggles and challenges I went through this year, but I do have to, generally disclaim that these are my struggles, but I am very privileged that these are my struggles. Obviously, I wish these didn't happen, but I do recognize how much privilege I have. I'm very lucky to be able to work for myself, and that I have degrees that have helped me, have great jobs and to be safe during this time and to have a great place to live and to have the choices that I do and to have the family and love in my life that I do. So of course, these were struggles, but I realize how incredibly lucky I am in pretty much all the ways in life. So I just want to point that out there, that even though I'll be sharing some tough spots, these small challenges that I'm sharing here are not like a big deal at all in the big picture. So just wanted to disclaim that before I begin. So I think in general, going full entrepreneur, what I did not anticipate was actually the biggest challenge was in my mind and dealing with mental challenges and mental blocks, followed by financial challenges when there were more failures than I anticipated. Of course, failure is a really helpful teaching tool, so I'm grateful for my failures as well, but they did happen, and they happened way more than I expected going into the year. Mentally, one of the darkest places that I kept going back to and struggled with the most was this fear or regret of actually leaving the classroom when I did. And this was something that kept creeping in my mind, especially when things weren't going well financially, because I knew what it looked like when I was still teaching and having my teaching job and that teaching salary come in, and I knew what it felt like to not have that money come in. I struggled with that a lot, and it was the worst in around March when the world started changing. And although in that point I was very grateful to not have to be putting myself at risk because I could just work from home, the reason I left teaching wasn't because I didn't enjoy teaching. I loved teaching. I was working at a great school. The students were amazing. I was having so much fun, and I had a really healthy work-life balance from my school stuff. Granted, I'd come home and I'd work several hours on my businesses, but in terms of that, my career, it was a great balance. And so when schools were shut down and went remotely, I especially regretted my choice at that point, because I knew that it was kind of like the best of both worlds. Still to have a teaching job and be getting paid for that. And a lot of my lessons that I did were already very digital savvy. I actually even had filmed myself teaching certain lessons, like through the flipped classroom style. So I was actually very prepared for teaching remotely. So it wouldn't have even really been much of a learning curve, and I would have had more time at home to work on other things as well. I think that was the most difficult point. Fortunately, though, after several really dark days, that has started to pass, and especially the last month or so, I haven't had that thought at all, and I am feeling very grateful that I made the choice, and I think I did make the right choice. Just because there's no way I could have accomplished what I accomplished this year had I not stepped away. And I think that a big part of this year was needing to create, even if it wasn't necessarily a successful project at the time, knowing that that continuous showing up and creating will be able to sustain me and be profitable in the future or long term. So I think that really helped a lot, and I do not regret my choice at this point. I haven't had that moment yet where I'm like, this is working, like this is my moment. But I see that moment on the horizon where I'm going to, know for sure with absolute clarity, like this is why I did what I did, this is worth it, sort of a thing. My relationship with YouTube changed as well. Prior to going into the year, if you asked me what my main thing was as an entrepreneur, I would have said YouTuber first. But I think throughout the year, I've realized just how, I don't, and I knew this before, but just it became very clear to me now just how I really don't have control over YouTube. And while YouTube is an amazing tool, it's not something that I feel comfortable with having be, the backbone of my business. This year showed me that a lot, especially just with supply and demand, that ad revenue is a fraction of what it was. I felt pretty stable on YouTube. Just to be fully transparent, for about 18 months in a row, earned about $1,500 a month, give or take a few $100s. It was more than my teacher paychecks, and I really enjoyed doing it. It felt very valuable. Then to see, as starting in March, my rates drop to 20% or 30% of what they were, that's a lot tougher to justify. And that's also part of the reason I'm taking a break from creating new traditional content right now, is just because the channel's performing the worst it's been in a long time, both in terms of just the views on videos are not resonating with people as much, as well as when people do watch the video, because the economy is struggling, there's much less ad revenue earned. And of course, it isn't about the money, but just like you probably have a job, this is my job, at least part of my job. And although I have no intention of leaving YouTube, even if the money dried up even more as part of it, it's something that I do have to be intentional with. And if it's not going as well and I'm not able to pay bills, then I need to shift my efforts to other areas that it is working better. I think I also was more affected by certain comments I received this year than I had been in the past. And it is a natural thing. As you grow, you do experience a bit more negativity or hate online. I think the toughest part was actually just hearing people who maybe were fans and who told me that I had changed or that I seemed fake. I got a few of those, and I feel like, if anything, I've gotten more transparent and more honest as time has gone on. I know that perhaps some people, were frustrated if I did a sponsored video here or there. I did 6 this year, and I'm grateful for that, with helping, support my work, but I'm not sure. And this is a small thing, but it definitely messed with me more than I should have let it was in terms of filming locations. Now, I love where we live. I love our condo, but I don't think there's any perfect filming location. This area has ended up working out pretty well. I'm not using additional lighting right now. I probably should be. A lot of it's been me trying out different locations, and I haven't actually found one that I love using or that's completely effortless. And I found myself in the place where it feels like I can't win, because honestly, in every different filming location within my space, there's at least one comment criticizing it, saying that, my walls should be this color, or that I should remove this from the background, I should add this to the background, that your background's distracting me, this is off center. I shouldn't have let it get to me, but they just came in so much more this year than I had previously expected. And you might have noticed that a lot of the videos I did more so in the fall were kind of in my studio space, we'll say. This was our second bedroom. I was really excited with a little space I set up there. And I film periodically with it on this channel. I film all my teacher videos there still, and I felt a lot of joy from setting that up. I got so many comments just like, that setup's fake, it just feels fake to me. I mean, I'm using artificial lighting because I can't get good natural light in a lot of the angles in my home, but I let it suck the joy out of that space for me, so I don't really feel comfortable filming. And so sometimes I'm actually like rearranging rooms here just for a good filming setup, which takes a lot of time. And then, ironically, I'm making a mess for my videos because I have to move furniture into position. I don't know. So I found that, even though this is a very small thing, like, not a big deal in the long term, but I struggled with that a bit as well. And I think I just had to kind of figure out where my place is within YouTube. Obviously, in time period where my channel was most successful, my videos were mostly all about decluttering. But obviously, decluttering is the thing that people are focused on for a while, but then at some point is no longer as relevant. Even in my own situation, I really don't declutter anymore because I don't have to. At most, I'm really decluttering educational materials and reference books after I'm done using them for my work, for my teaching work. As well as when people are no longer decluttering, it's not really as much of a concern for them. So I've definitely this year done more mindset, healthy habits, intentional living type of videos, and I really do enjoy doing those. But I think sometimes I'm walking a tricky balance between, am I focusing more on decluttering, and do I help people in my audience who are newer to decluttering, or do I focus more on that abundance mindset? I'll still probably keep doing a combination of both, but I think that's kind of tricky since I'm serving different audiences at the same time and wanting to create content that supports people in both of those places, even though those aren't necessarily the same videos. As I mentioned in the video, this year was not as financially successful as I hoped it would be. We did struggle. Fortunately, we had saved up a $10,000 emergency fund in preparation in general, and I only had to use about $3,000 of that. So fortunately, we managed to make things work. It was a lot tougher, but I do think that it was ultimately good that we struggled. I don't think I will ever not be grateful for any future successes. I especially think with my teacher business that all the work I've done this year, I've started to see it pay off definitely this year, but the way I see things continuing to move forward, I think that we shouldn't have to struggle like this financially in the future. So I'm really grateful for that, and I'm happy because, no matter what happens in the future, feeling the struggle that I did this past year. And I mean, there were some breakdowns, there were more tears, and I've cried more this past year than I ever had. So I think it's just really helpful perspective. I will never take any of my success in the future for granted because I know how this year felt. Also, this is not a sad story to me. I do think that long term I will be highly successful and I will reach any of the dreams that I want. But it takes time. You have to kind of pay your dues, I think. And so that's sort of what I did this year. And I'm very excited about what's to come. And I think I think it's really, this year was maybe very much about creating, and I think next year is really about elevating. That's sort of the longer answer about some of the struggles of the year. But again, number one, I know that these are very minor issues and not really issues in the big scheme of things. So many people are dealing with so much worse. So again, this is not me complaining. I'm grateful for everything that's happened. And also, I know that this just is a really wonderful perspective that has taught me a lot. As far as what I've learned overall, in addition to what I've already shared, this year I did actually figure out what my ideal schedule is. I played around with so many different versions of schedules this year to figure out how I work best. I have found I have been able to sleep a lot more, as I've mentioned a few times on the channel, which is great. I was normally getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep, at most 6 when I was a teacher. And now I get 7 to 8 hours every night, which is honestly amazing. I'm so grateful for that. And I think my health overall has improved. I gained a little weight, but we're not stressing out about that at the moment. I find that I get my best work done in the evening. So my husband Jake will usually go to bed around 10, and I'll typically work from 10 to 2 in the morning. That's, I think, my best work time of the day. Go figure. And then I sleep until 10 in the morning usually. And then we'll definitely take care of more urgent tasks in the morning, but then also have found, working in the afternoons to be a great time. And then, typically, obviously not the past few months because Jake's been home, evening or afternoon when he returns home, hang out with him more so. And then sort of that would be my cycle of when I'd be working and that sort of thing. One thing I did learn this year is just the challenges of running 2 businesses. I think before I had always prioritized Abundantly Minimal rather than Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies, but over the year I've realized how I have to stop doing that. And actually, at this point, honestly, I do a little bit more work with my teaching business. That's just been a smarter thing to do based upon the data. But it's definitely tough because in some ways I feel like I'm pulled between those directions as well. There are certain days where I really just wish I could focus on the one, not be also doing these tasks for the other business and vice versa. So I felt that more. I do look forward to hopefully being able to hire some help in the future. I mean, in the short term, starting next week, as Jake's done with the school year, he will be helping with the teacher business. Now, he's still a part of it anyway. It is Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies is the name of our business, but it's more so he helps with resources, and we use some of the resources from his classroom and his teaching, but I'm the one who runs all the business parts behind the scenes, like designing things, uploading things, running the blog, YouTube channel, all of that. So he is going to be taking a more active role this summer, and we'll be working about 4 hours together every day, in addition to the other time that I work on it later in the day as well. So I think that's going to be really helpful. And I think in general, something that I'll be continuing to do is kind of loosening my dependence upon YouTube, just because I don't own that platform, obviously. It doesn't mean, again, that I'm stopping. I know one change I made that was really healthy was stepping away from a weekly schedule. And I thought actually that it was that I was doing too many videos was the issue, but I realized it was actually just the pressure of trying to keep a schedule of posting a certain day. Just because there are certain days I didn't want to be on camera, or I didn't feel like I had a lot of inspiration for something I wanted to say. Stepping away from that and having more flexibility has been an amazing choice. And although the videos necessarily haven't been performing as well recently, there are some that I've been really proud of, and I've tried to elevate and improve different styles of my filming or the footage I'm capturing and that sort of thing. So I think I'll be continuing to play around with those sorts of things. I do really like the idea of uploading 3 videos a month still. Of course, still keeping things flexible about when I upload them. I hope to still continue experimenting with different style videos, as well as continuing, with a balance of both videos to support the simple living journey, as well as the decluttering journey, are probably key priorities. But I think just in terms of mentally, I'm not going in thinking that number one element of my business is a YouTube channel. I think that's probably the healthiest approach, just because it is the part of the business that gave me the most stress or negativity. Again, I'm still going to continue posting, but I think it's also going to be important for me to continue reaching out in other ways. This year I did start sending out emails with decluttering tips. That's definitely more of a decluttering focus, at least with the emails, as well as something I hope to do more of this year will be to shift some of my video efforts towards Facebook. Now, I personally don't actually have like a personal Facebook account. I only use it for business purposes, so I know not everyone has one. But the good news is, if you are signed up on my email list, you will not miss any content. So if I go live on Facebook, for instance, I will post the information, not on YouTube, but I'll send out replays specifically in my emails to anyone who is on my email list. So that's just a heads up about one of the changes I'll be making. But otherwise, content's not going to look that different. We'll continue to evolve and see how things turn out. But above all, I'm so grateful for you being on this journey with me. I hope this video was interesting. I know that some of this are things that I've wanted to share for a long time, but just haven't felt like it was the right time to share, as well as didn't want to seem ungrateful with some of the struggles that I was going through, especially with YouTube. But I really do believe things are looking brighter ahead, and I hope you're able to continue staying healthy and safe during these crazy times. And thank you once again for all your support. And I look forward to seeing you guys in July. Bye.